Greetings, foolish mortals. For possibly the last time, we arrive here this evening into our finale, part 1 of question mark, depending on how things go tonight. Before we dive back into the Underworld, I want to give a special thanks both to our sponsor, Roll20, as well as all of our ghosts and ghouls out in Patreon land. Thank you to Adele, Owl, Alexander, Alsrit, Bernie, Buck, Cha-Cha Real Smooth, Chandra, Chris, Doc, Dominion Rule, parentheses, must speak in bad French accent, Emil, Fuse82, George, James, John, Josh, Camo, Cat Feathers, Klaus, Crazy Man, Long Live the Queen, Melissa, Michael, Milo V3, Ms. Grumpy, Moku, Mozart D Minor, Noba, Arithaic, Other Guy, Perry, Foog, Porter, Tier, Riafio, Ryan, Sean, Chixara, Smooth the Shark in any direction, Karen, Thomas, Toast, Vortex Falcon, Why Gender when you can serve the Iron Pyramid, Zoltan, and Aethanalis. Thank you all very much for your support as it allows us to get ready to, well, the topic on my mind is we're going to have some new art when we go back to Mage come, call it late winter, early spring. And we like to pay our artists, so thanks for helping us do that. When we last left off, the crew had done some cool shit. They invented base jumping, leaped into the hell mouth of a giant Avernian gate in the middle of no man's land of the battlefields of Belgium, and fell for a very long time. They were attacked, bothered perhaps, by some spooky hell bats with sort of horrifying cluster mouths going on instead of bodies. They had landed deep within a slot canyon that was absorbing all of the new arrival ghosts. They met their new best friend.
Yep.
What did I call this man? Anybody remember?
Oh god, I don't remember.
I did not write down his name.
I really feel like it was a Bill?
Germain.
No, I thought I called him Brad.
Eric.
No, it was not Brad.
Okay.
Sherman.
Yeah, quick. Help my memory.
Is it Ben?
Anyways.
Benjamin?
I think it was Ben.
It would have been Benjamin, yeah.
That sounds about right.
Because I remember Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
It's just really earnest.
Earnest is maybe not how I would phrase it.
Yeah.
Excitable.
Like to say
Self-serving.
anything if it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what was
self-serving
listed.
perhaps.
We gave this ghost some ghost cocaine.
I just realized I am loaded into the wrong game. It's like I don't
You
have
clicked
any
the most
ghost
recent
art.
one as well.
Yeah.
It's okay. Earlier I was looking around for stuff and I dug up Drifter, Amanita, and Vicar. And so when I jumped in today, I was like, hang on.
What's going on here?
As a Benjamin, I can say that yes, his name was Benjamin. Great. The crew escaped the slot canyon and made their way through the upper reaches of the underworld to the shores of a river in a base and dregs sort of encampment is maybe the furthest I will go towards calling it some semblance of civilization on the shore of this river.
Seems right to
And I
me.
believe we had left off with a part of some creature making a splash off in the distance, in where the river widens,
Yes.
and the crew staring at a cloaked and silent figure standing at the edge of the dock.
On a raft, right?
Mm-hmm.
A ferry.
What would you like to do?
So, do we have anything to pay a toll with?
It's plasma.
We have the juice of our corpus.
We also have, or well, Cody has things.
True.
Indeed, if he so wishes to part with them.
Actually, that's a good question. I can't remember.
If
I can talk in character, but I will tell you out of character. You all need to give 1 essence as payment.
so, that's 3 plasma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was trying to see if it would take the ghost items because we can turn them into plasma. Or they are. plasma.
Even, I mean, they're ephemeral items, but at max, that's only good for 3 essence, and there are, unfortunately, 5 of us.
Assuming you're taking Benjamin with you.
I think Ben can stay in the Little River encampment.
That was my prayer, but
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go with you.
He's got
Especially after
1 essence.
a big splash, yeah.
well, and this is me metagaming. Technically, Ben has something else to pay the ferryman with, but
But yeah,
He's gonna stay here and do some grifter shit. And
we pulled him out of the
scam
Flesh
some folks.
Canyon, so he can be free now.
It was not flesh.
I mean, I get where she's coming from. You were talking about it absorbing people into walls.
It's
but-
made of compacted ghost bodies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
but
not
not flesh.
fleshy in that way. It's more, like, what was the
It's
comparison?
layers of bone and marrow and plasm, but not like, not flesh, because that sounds. We all know what that sounds like.
Yeah.
And we don't need Dorothy going in another one of those.
Yeah. Well. Oh, actually, we can, since it's my grave goods that I'm going to give up, which I'm willing to do, but that still leaves us with 1 more person to pay passage for. We could basically split the cost amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Amongst ourselves of the plasm.
Every journey takes a toll. I'm willing to pay my own.
Okay. And that would work for us. I will strike out my grave goods. Handling that out of character. In character, Cody is going to walk up to the man because we have some sense, I'm imagining, that we need to go deeper into the underworld. Just yeah, okay. And just probably not very jovially, but like, hey, buddy, can we hire your ship?
And silently just reaches out a skeletal palm.
Okay.
Dr. Quincy
Sure.
Jones approaches and congeals a coin, as described in the Inferno. Matte black, only reflecting a dull light. Lowers it into his hand and nods and says, I pay your toll, ferryman.
It grabs it between fingers and rolls it over its knuckles, and then holds it back up. And on one side, still matte black, is embossed with a side view of your face.
Excellent. Cool.
He flips it over, and it is just shredded, ripped metal.
Ooh, shit.
Dorothy just kind of like, isn't there a story about not paying until you get there?
No.
No, you have to pay to get on the ferry.
Otherwise, you're stuck with Charon just like not taking you anywhere, right?
This is not a story about mistrust. Also, I believe the ferryman knows that if he were to betray us, his bones would be rent into meal.
Just having trouble getting to this new dark version of you. Sorry.
Steph returns slowly and says, "What do you mean by dark?"
There's definitely been a mood change that I'm just having trouble adjusting to. It catches me off guard from time to time. You were, what's the word I'm looking for, happier a couple days ago?
Was I?
You appeared happier. I'm just glad that you're pulling the mask back.
I feel just as happy as I was before. Indeed, perhaps I've just shared with you something I wouldn't have otherwise if we weren't in this
Hell
Fair enough.
interminable grip.
Meanwhile, Cody is over here like pulling an entrenching tool and like a cot and some other various like camp supplies out from his grave goods bag, very Deadpool-esque, and just like holding them up to the ferryman going, "Will these suffice?"
It makes a notion of like
Compacting them down. Yeah, just Cody starts. Actually, I think Cody, it's like one for you, and here's the cot for you, and then you know.
Yeah, we trade over.
Yeah.
I trade over an item and 2 plasm, I guess.
I know, because each of the grave goods is worth essence or plasm equal to its dot value, so each of them is worth 1 essence. If if we don't absorb it as plasm, then it's just 1 essence.
you're very echoey.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, that's what happens when the mic completely turns upside down.
So yeah, in sequence, the 3 of you hand over a coin. The sort of process of paying with the goods, it sort of congeals in between the grasp of your hand and his. And then he, with the same motion, flicks it over his knuckles and holds it up 2 sides, and you each get on one side a profile of your own face, and on the other a representation of your Geist.
Ooh.
And beckons onto the raft. It is made of big, thick logs lashed together, probably 20 feet long by 10 feet wide, so it's sizable. That said, with 4 passengers and your Geists being more present here, it does, it crowds up. There are no others that join you on this, though you catch various glances from the forlorn ghosts in the small crowd. The sort of understanding that they are burdened by the decision whether to venture deeper. The ferryman does not ask where you are going, and merely puts his pole down into the deep black waters of the river and pushes off. The only instructions that he gives is a knowing glance of his, fully hooded. Like, the only thing you have seen of him is the skeletal hand, right? Everything else is just draped black. Very much out of character. We talk about how, especially in the upper reaches, there's a lot of reflection of how people feel about the underworld culturally and stuff like that. And so the symbol of this black death, this ferryman, is very strong, and that is how he appears here. And so the instruction is just a single skeletal finger held up in front of his face.
Cody gets into that just little, cross-legged sit, and then goes through kind of rudimentary. Well, I don't know if they would have done in World War One, breaking apart your rifle, but checking over his supplies and stuff like that.
I mean, as long as guns have been around, you have had to take care of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm thinking of that full dismantling thing. But cleaning his rifles, exactly what he would do then.
Before we head out, is the beast going to be a problem? Or will it stay underneath?
Oh, the one that's reaching a tendril up
Who are you
above the
asking?
water surface?
The ferryman, I guess.
Maybe that's when he just says,
Keep it quiet and pretend we're in Venice.
Yep, I'm going to sit down, sort of kneeling, quite politely, arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times.
yeah, that's a good strategy. Yeah, the great news about ferrymen is that as long as they are doing what they're supposed to do and take payment for the ride, is that they navigate perfectly and do not have anything go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as y'all follow the rules and he follows the rules, which by nature of being the ferryman, he is very, not just incentivized, but pressured to, you have a nice little river cruise. There are things in the water that you see. There are things on the shores that you pass by. There are things that fly above in the air. But during this ride, you are protected.
And just point of order, Dorothy is not seeing anything in the water. Just making that clear. She just focused on her knitting as she's sitting there. Like, nope, there was nothing there. I didn't hear a splash.
Cody occasionally putting his arm up to measure the sleeve as she works on her knitting or whatever. Or probably socks. You're just always making socks, right? Yeah.
Socks for the guys, yeah.
What is Stafford doing?
Stafford Quincy Jones is looking at the tendril or any signs of potential aggression and is waiting behind the ferryman quite politely, adhering to the rules that he expected from his poetic and literary understanding of the ferryman's role. but if anyone were to pay close attention to him, it would seem that he is right on the cusp of unleashing his rage. If you had ever seen that before, right? If you had actually paid attention to it before, not that you witnessed the rage come out, but like the transition between Defford walking around being decorous and then unleashing the rage, it seems like he's right on that edge, yet he doesn't seem unsettled by it. If the tendril comes, Defford's about to forfeit a voyage.
As I said, you are protected.
Totally.
Nothing pops up and splashes the raft. Nothing disturbs. There is one small bump of something hitting the bottom of the raft. But the ferryman makes no gestures of alarm or concern. And just pushes.
Cool.
The pole never comes all the way out of the river. You have no idea how long it is.
Yeah.
You have no idea how deep this is.
Yeah, it makes sense.
If any of you were to have the idea to like look too close at the river, each of your guys would just be like, let's not
do that.
Even
pull you back from the edge.
Just grab you by the back of the neck and pull you back.
Even jagged shards would be like, that's not a good idea. The one measure of reason in his existence.
I guess that's true. We could have silent conversations with our geists. Okay, yeah.
That's cool.
I don't have anything specifically to bring up. I was just playing with my head.
Confirming that option.
Yeah.
Makes sense to
communicate. Sort of inner monologue style. So there is a bit of winding that you go through in this river. And then
Long and winding road.
What?
Nothing. Sorry.
No, just that from the point you're at, it's a bit skinny and winding, like the upper reaches of a river. And as you progress, it gets wider. And as it slows its current and spreads out and flattens out, anyone that's spent any time on the water recognizes that you're approaching some sort of delta or something. He pushes it over towards the other bank, and a matching nondescript wooden dock. And there's a feeling of a completion, of a lifting of roles and participation. And he just stands on the edge of the dock, just gestures.
Thanks. Cody it's like I think it's okay to actually speak aloud now as he, kind of quickly hop steps off the boat. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get away from the river a little bit.
You step onto a black sand beach that quickly climbs up, giving way to some sort of clay. And you have to kind of scramble up a rather steep embankment. At the top, there is simply put, a transition point. And you are suddenly greeted with this sweeping vista of rolling hills of grain growing and swaying. And a simple but grand if that makes sense. Grand in scale, simple in design. Set of stone pillars with a flat crossbar, so to speak, out in the middle of this field.
So like a gate kind of thing.
Yep.
Unless anybody.
A portal.
Is it dark?
I would say that the grain is quite literally golden.
Yeah.
With a glow, right? So the overarching cavern that you're in, you cannot see the ceiling, and there's no sun above. There are no stars above. This is simply disappears into darkness, but there is light to see here, as this swaying field of, as you step into it, somewhere between 6 and 12 feet tall strands of grain. And from that point where you step into it, and then you think of how tall those columns look in the distance, it kind of puts a set of scale into your head.
Can't do the gladiator run my hand through the grain thing. Gotta make it all tall on me. Also more creepy this way. Well, if the ferryman took us to our destination, we all had the same place in mind, right?
Yes. We're trying to find the corporal, are we not?
That was my idea.
And scythe through his troops.
Well, I mean, that's a possibility.
Right through wheat.
I mean, we should just keep our options open, though.
There are many ways to scythe. You can use violence. You can disperse them through words. Intimidation. You're saying, Ash?
Perhaps they're on the other side. Get
My
to
guess.
walking.
Yep. And considering the height of them, are we able to keep a vague idea of like that top bar and stuff? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of like part enough to be able to see off in the distance. As you make your way actually into this, there is rustling that you're seeing off at various parts of things and people moving through the grain.
We should hold on to each other.
I have rope.
I was just gonna like reach out and grab the back of your jacket, like going through a haunted house.
Oh, that works too.
I need a navigation roll of some sort. Somebody
Wants
can
to
bid.
navigate via grain.
All right. So, as the resident farm boy, I don't know necessarily what he would roll for this.
There are any of the
Table.
approaches that it gives you options of, society, architecture, or like survival type things, are all
Okay.
valid here. There are people to be encountered in the grain. There is.
I would rather not.
Yeah, I'd rather not, but if we see him, but that actually works pretty well then. Cody will probably apply,
Options.
I guess actually composure plus empathy, and not, trying to basically not be put off from, especially down this deep, some off-putting things and creatures and people. I will spend a willpower on it. Composure, empathy, 3.
And this is instinct or society.
By society was my intention.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
One success.
There we go. Wondered why that looked so weird on the screen. I was in dark mode.
So you gather yourselves up, and Cody, the farm boy, says, "Oh, it's where is he from again?"
A farming household. I didn't actually specify where. Oh, Indiana.
Nebraska.
Indiana.
Indiana. I was gonna say like Iowa, like yeah, it's got big Midwestern farm boy energy.
Yep.
And it's just like the cornfields. It's fine. It's scarier it's scarier in your mind than it is here. And then starts picking his way through and finding just ghosts. Moving through, going through the motions of cutting some. Yes, Craig?
While we're moving through here, can I sort of casually interrogate the local population just to get an idea of the lay of the land ahead of us? Like with a manipulation and socialize roll or something?
I think that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's
Right, but you're doing for the navigation. I'm trying to. Like,
Yeah.
What are we getting ourselves into?
I'm gonna give you a little bit of that.
Okay.
But yeah, we can probably investigate it further if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, there are just a lot of just ghosts here doing farm things. Lots of sickles and stuff like that, and threshers, and a lot of them have a sort of basket on their back that they're stuffing grain into, and moving through, and in a consistently familiar tone. I think by nature of your role here, you've kind of you passed the vibe check, right?
It's an appropriate way to describe it.
What's up?
I said that's great. That's an appropriate way to describe it.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, you're trying to get over that? Yeah, just keep on going. You're on a straight line. You're doing great. Their accents shift and blend from person to person. You could swear that someone is speaking Greek, someone is speaking French. You have someone that could easily have been your neighbor from your hometown. But you understand what they're saying. And I think after speaking to a few of these, you kind of have the idea of where are we? And each person just kind of smiles and just says, Elysium.
Cody takes that at face value, but out of character.
Someone has made the Elysian Fields.
Bedford looks around and says, "The Elysian Fields are a place of rest and respite. They're a desirable location for a shade, once tortured in an earthly existence, not of their choosing. And so, what does that imply about where we are?
Whole lot of things, but I'm not saying anything until... Well, actually, I think Cody says that we're in the wrong place.
There are many who die, not by their own hand, and wish to experience some semblance of vengeance or satisfaction. Posthumously. Perhaps if you died this way and you visited the Elysian Fields, a commander would be able to easily entice you to join his army and wreak havoc on the world above, the world that, well, considered you merely just chaff rather than wheat. And then Stafford rolls his shoulders and he says, I could go for a nice piece of toast.
Craig,
Mhm.
go ahead and make that roll.
Sure.
Okay. What exactly are you trying to find out?
Had a couple of things in mind. One is, are these folks actually farming, or are they just going through the motions? Like, does the grain regrow as soon as it's cut? You know, that kind of thing. Are they actually doing anything? Like, are these guys part of what we're planning on getting into? I'm kind of getting that vibe based on conversation we had with Drew, but I don't know how aware they are of their situation in the area around us.
I would argue that in this place, those two questions are not different.
Okay.
They are all cognizant and aware. They can tell you bits about who they were
Mm-hmm.
above.
And where all the grain is going, for example.
I think if that is your line of questioning, right? If you're trying to figure out what happens to the grain and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
then that is not a question about these folks.
Okay.
They will tell you that folks from elsewhere come and harvest their grain. And sometimes they harvest too much and have to be fended off. But that this is a place
Okay.
for sustenance.
Okay.
And you can recognize that there's no villages, there's no buildings, there's none of that. And so when you said, are they kind of just going through the motions? Yeah, they are. But this grain is packed full of essence. It is a staggering amount.
Cool.
And you'll see that occasionally as they're harvesting, this is not how grain is enjoyed, right? But you just they'll just kind of take one with their teeth and just sort of strip it.
Mm-hmm.
And then in a sort of, vague amalgamation of, somewhere between like chewing sunflower seeds and, like they're not eating, right? It's just this motion. And I think as that happens, there's this like kind of shifting perception here. And you see that like, oh, okay, a minute ago I thought it was wheat, but no, that's just like a bunch of stalks of corn right there. And so there's definitely something going on here, but it does not appear to be, it doesn't come across in any way as sinister, right?
Yeah.
Any more information about it, I'm gonna need some more like avenues of investigation and stuff like that. But it can happen as you navigate. You have successfully navigated across the field and made your way to this giant gate.
Sweet. Stafford Quincy Jones says one more thing as we've left the fields. And he says, sometimes I've envied those who long for nothing more than a long life, harvesting wheat from the ground benefiting from the toil they put into it, and never experiencing the larger consequences of greater civilization. And I would consider it a balm to my weary spirit, if upon my death I were gifted with such a simple task, even to repeat to eternity.
I think heaven a little better than that, but I mean, you're not wrong. It's pretty nice neutral limbo.
Well, heaven is, in many ways, a state of mind, state of being, a matter of perception. Perhaps for a lifetime farmer, coming to a place where the crops never experienced damage from weather, where the sun was always as bright as it needed to be. The bread they baked and the wheat they ground was always as moist and satisfying as they hoped it would. And they never experienced a bare harvest when they didn't have enough to feed their family. That would seem like heaven to me if I were this person.
As someone who grew up on a farm, my heaven has nothing like a farm on it.
That's you, isn't it?
Yep.
I mean, it's hard labor forever.
Oh, that's the point, isn't it? Art is a matter of perspective. For a person that doesn't have achy joints or a weary back, it might be enjoyable. For those of us who enjoy working with our hands, as opposed to sitting under the boughs of a leaning tree, penning poems with a delicate pen.
Satisfaction of a day's labor again and again and again might be okay.
With no consequence, yes. If you don't experience the harm to your body that occurs when you're bent over iteratively for decades, why wouldn't it be wonderful to experience the thing that you once loved when you were young, when you were vital? To each their own. I'm merely pointing out that these shades deserve an understanding for what they might have chosen and what they might continue to enjoy. Just because our preferences might be different does not mean we should so quickly dismiss it.
I'm not dismissing it. I'm just saying this isn't my place.
I'm just surprised that I didn't know that places like this could exist down here.
Does anyone investigate in any way further?
I want to look into the game.
Yeah, that's what Cody's after.
There is sort of a... I think you're walking and you have to, go slowly, but you can see it kind of rising above you. And I think one of you suddenly just kicks hard marble stone steps. And suddenly you can start kind of almost like walking out of a pool, right? Suddenly you're above the grain, suddenly you're up on a big platform. And there is a shimmer that stretches across between these two pillars through this gate. It is not the thick, billowy plasm sort of feel that a lot of other Avernian gates that you have seen. And there is a large figure standing at each of the columns. They are sizable, right? They look down at you, kind of draped in billowy, not quite robes, but just flowing clothes, right? In shades of brown and amber and all very just like earth tones, right? A little bit of green. Their faces are expressions of serene is probably the right, without the sort of like blissed out like sort of vibe that serene sometimes has. It's just
Content, maybe.
content. Yeah, content's good. I like content. They just sing. Our greetings to those from the world above. And the other says, and from the world below. Together, they say ye of two worlds. What brings you to Elysium?
We're looking for the corporal.
Corporal. Oh. They kind of like look at each other. I do not know who you mean.
We seek a war camp.
Run by someone known as the Little Corporal.
Rows and rows of tents, regimented.
Quick point of order. The Little Corporal was not said in this game.
Right. That was Craig figuring something out.
Yeah, I just
Oh, I
heard him
thought-
called corporal.
We've only heard
by
the corporal.
Yeah.
By the soldier.
Yeah. The soldier just said corporal.
Okay.
You
when you say-
extracted that it might be Napoleon.
Yeah, I thought you had said it out. Maybe it was out of character though. That's what I was remembering. Okay. Or was the name of the graphic or something? I'm sure that was probably it. Okay.
For reasons that will become evident, it's important to make that distinction.
Mhm.
I see. You are looking for Latera.
Sounds right.
You are soldiers, I see.
I think Cody's the one who probably says some of us are.
We are employed in that manner.
Hmm.
And so soldiers we be.
And so
State,
you
if
venture
not.
forth to join this war camp. Make war on behalf of those in the world below.
That remains to be seen.
Maybe more ambassadors?
This war camp is making war on the world above.
Or at least is planning to. I guess there's only been one small overture of it. Maybe it was just a
No, that's-
mistake.
You know this to be true.
We do.
This is new knowledge.
We seek to
While we are
prevent-
not secret keepers or knowledge brokers here, it is good to know. If l'Empereur is making moves after so long, we thank you for this knowledge.
Does your thanks come in reciprocal form?
We have but one thing to give. They just stand there.
We will receive your gift.
Oh, you may take as much as you wish. Nourish yourselves upon the grains of our land, if you wish.
I do.
Do you know in which direction we can find the war camp?
Yes, of course.
Can we barter for that information instead?
Oh, we will give it freely if you ask it of us.
We ask it of you.
Very well. And they point off in a direction.
I thought talking to the Knight Commander was irritating.
Have we given offense?
More
No.
curiosity.
Yeah, Dottie's like, these folks seem really straightforward to me compared to the Night Commander.
Stephen Quincy Jones says, occasionally, even when someone takes offense, it is not the fault of the person who is perceived to have given it. Responsibility lies in both the person who speaks and the person who interprets communication they receive.
Hmm.
I'm grateful for your offer of wheat, and I will take of it to sate my weary corpus. And Stafford walks over and starts eating some wheat.
Oh, sound a little snacky.
Yep, snacky.
How
Get the
much,
gold in
can
my
we,
body.
how much can we get?
Since it sounds like there's an infinite field of it.
Yeah, they said take all you want.
If you are consuming,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
you may refill your essence or your plasm track.
Oh yeah.
So what exactly is our plan?
I mean, well, and Cody says, right? I was truthful. I want to do this as ambassadors. Maybe there's some miscommunication. Maybe they have some need of something. We do not need a new front to open up.
Yes, and I know that we are not capable of fighting this army.
There was additional information that was implied through what the Guardian said.
Effort, can you roll synergy plus stamina, please?
Yes, happy to. While I'm doing that, Stafford says, they referred to the corporal as l'Empereur.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the corporal could be working for someone else.
Sure.
What'd they call it? A terror? As the war camp?
Which Cody
Indeed.
translates easily because he has the language merit.
It's just Earth, right?
I didn't want to say the whole thing in Spanish or in French, but in chat it is.
The land of heroes.
No E in heroes, but yes.
Mhm.
Heroes Earth. Something like that.
Got 3 hits in stamina synergy.
Excellent. Well done. Anybody else
Thank
eat the grain?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll stamina synergy, please.
Well, that might be a little rough for Dorothy. Because you haven't raised your synergy yet, have you?
Well, by one.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well done.
Grubbing on that bulgur.
Did Adelaide take a snack? No?
I'm full up. I don't need.
Oh. Well done. Cool. You feel content and full in a way that I think perhaps neither of you have in a while.
Mm-hmm.
It is a meal of contentment, fulfillment. It is not eating because you have to give yourself energy, right? It is a soul deep. You have refilled your health, your mana, like it is, yeah.
Returned to the Hearthstone. So considering that this area is more a function of human endeavors and human action, right?
Is it?
Well, maybe not. Sorry. The Elysian Fields. Maybe not. I was going to... Okay, hold on. I
Does
won't
anyone
say
else
what
want
I
to
was gonna
investigate anything else before you leave here?
say. Yeah, why not?
I want to know what is this gate?
Sure.
Because like it doesn't look like an Avernian gate, right? Is there? I don't know.
Bust out that occult skill.
Yeah, to try to, I mean, not scrutinize it because we're not mages, but that's what I'm trying to do.
I
Basically.
mean, yeah, basically. With your knowledge of ghostly things and the occult, like, you can make a roll. You can try and piece together. There are certainly, like, underlying symbols in the marble, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does the ghost specialization apply?
I would say no.
Yeah, because it's just something in the underworld. It's not a ghost.
This is more of a underworld architecture thing. Do you want to make that a dramatic failure?
Sure.
You stride up close to one column, and the figure on that side steps out of the way and kind of lets you gaze. And I think you are tracing your fingers around various, not runes, right? It's not a language. It's not a like spell work or anything like that. It doesn't seem occult in that sort of nature. As you've had brief dealings with some of the things before, it is like the lines of the universe coming together. It seems deeper and more solid than any Avernian gate you have seen before. And you step and start looking at the actual veil, is what I'm going to call it. It stretches between these. I think you come up a little short of understanding what it's doing, where this might lead. And the two figures just step not next to you, not in a threatening way, but closer to you, and sort of wait for you to ask the question of where does it go? And they sort of gesture in a way that you feel yourself not compelled, but not not compelled in a controlled way, but you feel safe enough to take a look.
Yeah, I feel like I gotta touch it, right? Just yeah.
And as they sort of gesture towards it, like open-handed together, you sort of just almost like pulling curtains aside, right? You kind of just get a purchase with your hand, and you go to stick your head through to look, and it goes everywhere. And this sort of it is like if you open your eyes in the ocean, right? There's this salt sting of too much going on, too much to look at. You're not meant to be looking at this, and every time you blink to try and get rid of that, you open your eyes back up and you get a brief glimpse of a potato field in the Andes. You see fields of corn in Americas. You see a rice paddy. And every time you blink, it's another glimpse, right? And I think you are going to have what is a good condition of this?
Some sort of dazed, really.
Yeah.
I feel like for a while I'm going to pull my face back from this and just kind of be out of it.
Everyone's spooked all the time. It's the only condition in any system.
Yeah, I think spooked is going to work for our purposes here. Of like, how Avernian gates work. They connect to one place. This breaks the rules and weirds you out on a soul deep level.
Makes a lot of sense.
The mage in me is just like, oh, clearly it's connected to the Temenos realm of
farming.
right.
Yeah, I would just sort of turn around, kind of 1,000-yard stare, and relay all of that to you guys.
I think in that sort of like cosmic linked sort of understanding, right? So it's not a failure to understand what's going on, right? It's a failure to be able to deal with. Is how I'm making this roll work, because I want you to know what this is, because I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And you realize that that this is some sort of a dominion. It is a community. It has rules. And it has a corporal. Protect it.
Oh, baby.
I mean, of all the places to end up as a ghost, don't hate it. Just not the one we need.
Yeah, war camp's not through there.
Cody has been ready to go, right? He's been
I'm just gonna start
we got
like
pointed, and he's like standing under where that one hand had been. It's like that way. Whenever you guys are ready to go.
I'm just sort of blankly walking that direction.
À la terre préservons.
Adelaide, you okay, honey?
No. I saw everywhere.
What do you mean by everywhere?
It goes to every field at the same time.
Thought you were reaching over breast pocket and pull out a little flask, and this usually helps me. Offers it up.
Yep. Take a drink, just keep walking.
I think there's something beautiful about that. Might be the case that, regardless of where you farm, or what you farm, that if you die on your own land, you might end up in the same place with others around the world, similarly devoted to reaping what they sow.
That was beautiful.
Returns.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't know what the rules here are, but that might be one of them.
You're still within earshot of the guardians.
Yeah, they could answer.
Yeah, they just say, it is simple. We ask that anyone that resides here not cause harm to the crops.
Except for when consuming them.
That is not harm.
Hmm.
That is their purpose.
Ah. And then Stefford stops for a moment. And there's this brief desire to query jagged shards of silvered cincture if he suspects that perhaps the crops before they're sowed take a different form than we might expect. And then he realizes, you know what?
Don't
In
ask.
this moment, I just don't need to know.
I realize that's all internal dialogue, but Dorothy approves.
Yep, just walking.
Yeah, so you follow off in the direction that they have gestured, making your way slowly but surely through the grains, finding the edge, stepping out into more of a. It is a very strange feeling, but it is like a rocky, rolling green hills. Sort of your Piedmont sort of vibe. Your foothills of mountains. It could be Scotland. It could be, Appalachia. It could be the hills in Italy. But the idea is low plants, small grasses, rolling hills, rocks.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tunnel.
Hmm.
And it sort of just continues. And so you have this it's 20, 30 feet wide, but you feel like a giant walking through them. And then after a bend of a tunnel, suddenly the hills are much bigger, and then you're walking up and over, and then the tunnel is weird shapes and stuff like that. And it is disorienting a little bit, but not threatening, right? It is just a different environment. And I think we'll take a little bit of a break. We'll do another navigation when we come back, and then we will make it to the land of the heroes.
Sounds good.
Cool. In that case, be right back, folks.
So, picking up where we left off, the crew is making their way out of the Elysian Fields and down through the tunnels towards this war camp of Napoleonic French soldiers. We get a navigation roll of some sort.
Yeah, let's do it.
That you volunteering, Ralph?
Sure, happy to.
Yeah, 'cause I've done one, Drew's done one.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I was leaving it for others because Stefford did the first one long ago and failed it. So Stefford's going to
Redemption.
attempt. Yes, thank you. Let's see. He's going to attempt navigating by architecture. Actually, you know what? He can talk to people. What am I talking about? He's going to attempt navigation by society. having foolishly thought that his understanding of architecture was sufficient. So he's going to try and evaluate how they are traveling. Just as described, empathy, reading locals, pick up on their habits of travel.
This is a sparsely populated area.
Okay. It's okay with me. Sparsely populated, my sweet. That'll be even a better choice, so...
What is your approach for the roll?
Approach to the roll, let's see. Oh, okay. So he's going to do like this. Stefford, as we're moving in, and maybe the group is asking, all right, how are we going to get around? Stefford holds up a hand. And he starts carefully trying to follow people, see how they're moving. Leaned over a little bit. You can tell
stalking them.
Yes, exactly. If the key of beast is still a little resonant, then yeah.
You're just gonna hunt people towards this camp. Great.
Yes, that's exactly it.
All right. What's the roll?
The roll is going to be wits empathy.
Okay.
With the -2.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. All right. Let's see what you got.
See what I got. Ooh, that's good.
4 successes on 8 dice. Well, no,
That's
6
nice.
dice.
6 dice.
On 6
Yep.
dice.
Not bad.
That's a great result. I will make that a dramatic failure.
What?
Don't even think that's an option,
I
technically.
don't think that's an option.
Yeah, unfortunately, it isn't. Sometimes you want beats. I'm gonna roll to fold my clothes and make it a dramatic failure.
Right.
I ripped my pants in half. Give me a beat.
I'm hulking it.
Yes, exactly. It's a good time. It's a good time, everybody.
Yeah, suspect just yelled, "I'm hulking it," and then ripped off his clothes.
Yes, that's right.
We responded with concern and, of course, appropriate level of threat.
That seems like the right thing to yell after you take BCP. I'm hulking it! Ah! Of course, you want to get
it's
naked.
got big. I'm gonna break these cuffs.
Yeah, that's exactly where I had gone.
Yeah. Anyways, back in the actual game. Stefford sort of begins catching the vibe of some of the folks that are making the journey through this tunnel and determining whether or not they are going the same place. And just starts stalking around each of these hills and following at a distance. And at one point, I think so focused on the task at hand, starts falling over one hill, and the other three of you trailing behind from a safe distance to not get so close, just watch as Stefford goes up around this tunnel, is walking on the wall and eventually the ceiling as he follows the trail of his quarry. And you're like, okay.
Cool.
Up to you whether you realize you're now upside down.
No.
Yeah, that's kind of
No,
what I was
not.
going for.
I think you declaring that he's too focused makes complete sense to me.
Yeah.
Like a beast, he is stalking after,
Yeah.
single-minded in his pursuit.
The three of you that are, as I said, sort of following along in the trail of, or in the wake of Stefford's hunting, realize that this is a bit of a mutable space. And you can do a full-on Sonic the Hedgehog, go all the way around the loop-de-loop sort of thing, if you wish.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Following along.
confidently follow in his steps.
Mhm.
When in Rome.
Oh, so you do. Okay, so you do follow.
Yeah,
and
I
go
feel like
upside down.
if you approach it confidently enough, it'll be fine.
Mhm.
Don't Looney Tunes yourself and look down and fall.
Yeah, exactly. Predating Looney Tunes by about 4 decades, but
Adelaide will invent them.
No.
5.
They were in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so 3 decades. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. That does make a huge difference. Anywho, but yeah, you stalk this one guy, and the tunnel opens up, and you see this expansive war camp. As I said, it's got the sort of picketed stakes surround.
Yeah.
I don't know what those things are actually called. Anybody know?
Talking about like palisade or something.
No,
else?
The
the
X's
pieces
for the
of wood on the
fence.
outside.
Oh, to
that
prevent like
people from
cavalry
going
charge.
through. Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
So those have. I'm sure those have a name, right?
Yeah, let me see.
Probably. I don't know.
But this is the thing that chat would normally chime in on.
Archer's stakes.
Pardon?
Archer's stakes.
Archer stakes. Interesting. Cool. Yeah, so there's a lot of those as the sort of delineation line of where the domain is. There is a gate with a I'm gonna use the word hollow soldier. He exists as an outline.
Ooh, cool.
Everywhere around the edge of him, call it like 3 inches of being,
Mm-hmm.
is a Napoleonic soldier. But there is just nothing in the middle.
Wow.
Like black void
No.
kind of thing.
No,
Or
like
just-
see-through.
Oh, okay.
Is that one thing? I just looked it up. It's
He's
actually
a
not an
cookie
archer
cutter.
stake. The Cheval de Frise.
I put it in
Sure.
chat.
Oh, you did? Okay, I didn't see that. I'm not seeing chat because I have the videos popped.
Yeah, a cookie cutter is a good way to think about it, right?
Less ominous though.
Yeah, a lot less ominous. And I think as you watch this person making the journey to the domain,
Mm-hmm.
you walk up and he hands him a flimsy, tattered book is a strong word, but a thick pamphlet, if you will.
Mm.
And looks him over. You get the impression that he has said something to this ghost. You do not hear it. The ghost reacts and looks and, okay, and then proceeds inside.
Does he pass through the hollow soldier?
No. There is a wooden set of poles delineating a gate, a gap in this cheval de frise. What do you do?
That looks to me like recruitment papers.
Mm-hmm.
Good indeed.
Can I try and get a bit of an angle on the soldier? Like, does the outline shift as my perspective shifts?
It is always
the
looking
outline?
at you.
Oh, okay. Okay, that.
It is not turning. It is just always simply
Sure.
looking at you.
It exists as a thing that is looking at me,
Mhm.
no matter what I do. Yeah.
If you are within, a relatively what you might determine as a shoutable range, right? You hear a voice in your head, each of you. Well, have you come to join the Emperor's army?
Just
You seem
looking
like
at
fine soldiers.
Well, we were hoping to talk to the Emperor.
Ambitious.
To clarify, by talk we mean parley.
Relay. You are enemy combatants.
Ambassadors. Representatives.
An enemy is declared and forsworn. That has not happened for either of us.
I think you'll find that the time for talk has long since passed. We prepare for war.
That is not something we can test. Yet we still repeat our request for an opportunity to speak with l'Empereur.
The only way inside these walls is as a soldier in the Emperor's army.
Well, then perhaps the Emperor might consider it fit to meet us outside the walls.
He will not. He is a busy man, a great and powerful leader.
I'm just gonna quietly mention to you guys, should we tell them about his emissary that we took out?
I don't know that would be the right foot to start the conversation on, but it's not a...
Yeah. I feel like it might make us worth talking to, but also worth utterly destroying.
So we were empowered to come here because of an unprovoked attack. We seek to speak with the Emperor to learn the reason for his attack.
What attack? We have not gone to war yet. We are preparing for war.
Yet a being and a creature came from this camp and attacked our forces. There was no declaration of war. This caught us by surprise. We come to speak to find out what is the reason behind this assault. You know, perhaps you're not aware of this attack, but we certainly are, and our commanders are. That's why they sent us. There is no mechanism, no procedure in the Emperor's Great Army for parley with other forces.
If you wish to speak with a representative, a commanding officer,
Well, that would be a start.
then
we
yes,
come as-
certainly. You had not asked that yet.
You didn't make
demanded
an
to
option.
You demanded to speak to the Emperor. I told you that was not possible.
Yes, please bring forth, summon, whatever terminology you would prefer, another ambassador.
And your procedures allow for the safe conduct of emissaries?
Any dangers you encounter outside of the camp are not our responsibility. If you wish to be protected in this dark and gloomy and dangerous space, you may join the Emperor's army and become part of the glorious army therein.
No.
I'll
Dottie's
risk
gonna
the
just-
dangers.
Sort of say under her breath, this seems like it's a program. If we could speak to a commanding officer, that would be helpful.
I shall have a message sent.
Thank you.
Right. Remember, they're very literal here.
When they are free from their preparations and have a spare moment, they will make their way here. And just stand at attention and
See Stafford backing away a little bit. Trying to get out of earshot. Out of the range within which the voice started appearing in his mind. See him like kind of deep breathing. And he says, that irritating automaton is the first that will be destroyed if we need to engage in hostility.
If we engage in hostilities, we've already lost.
Also,
Depends upon the circumstance.
You haven't seen how many soldiers are in this army
You
yet.
can see.
Yeah.
Right. There is a hill from which you can see, and there are.
I did.
Endless.
Innumerable, right? It is a endless field of a camp of golden tents.
Centurion. Sorry. Go ahead.
All
What was that?
eventually rising up. I know I said endless, but eventually rising up to the top of a hill wherein a large central command tent sits.
I am not so naive to think that the 4 of us, or the 8 of us, can overtake all of these forces. Yet that does not preclude the possibility that we might need to engage in violence in the course of whatever we do here. As we stated at the outset, I acknowledged that we'd prefer to avoid it. I'm merely stating, and I'll reinforce, that if we have to engage in hostilities, I will claim that automaton as the first casualty on their side.
he's all yours.
And Stefford nods and looks like he relaxes a little bit.
And Dorothy, I suspect if it comes to violence, that we'll have much bigger fish to fry. But if you want to take that one out, go ahead. Centurion, what's your assessment of the camp here? The readiness of these
Affection.
soldiers? Affection. Great.
I think Whistling Louie also
Yeah.
is
Has
speaking
opinions.
in Adelaide. Yeah, I think what you get from him is this sort of very gallows humor of well, whatever I did to get myself shot, probably wouldn't have done it if I had been in a camp like this.
That's great.
That or they would have shot me a lot faster.
Army of the Dead is. There's certain logistical concerns with putting a physical army in the field. Hygiene and things like that sort of limit the size. But I guess if you don't have to worry about disease and camp fever,
And they still have to feed them,
Mm-hmm.
which I imagine is the big problem.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if they have a deal with the Elysians.
I don't think that was a deal. I think that was the people came and took violently.
You can make an intelligence plus occult roll here. Anybody that's following this track of logic.
Sure.
I will try this again.
Does our ghost specialty apply? Oh, well, somebody got 3.
Yeah, it can apply here.
Cool.
How do you have nothing on a cult?
We've already made
Incredible.
fun of Craig about this.
Yay.
Okay, so everyone but Dorothy has a realization that, or it comes to the forefront of your mind that over the course of the conversation that this is a domain. And the way that domains work is that if you follow the rules, the old laws
Oh,
of the
yeah,
domain,
that's right.
you do not suffer essence bleed.
Mm-hmm.
So they do not have to feed the ghosts as long as the ghosts are following the rules.
I imagine enlisting is the rules.
Listening and following the orders, yeah.
Because the gate guard was very adamant that we could come in and talk if we.
Yeah, and the entire time that he was
Listen.
talking to you, he had a pamphlet in his hand held out to you.
I want to ask him if I can see the papers without enlisting. I want to look at what you're offering me.
Very well. A soldier, a good soldier, should know what is expected of them. It is a set of military codes and procedures and everything that is expected of
A good soldier.
a good soldier. It is written to, like, Napoleonic codes, right?
Mhm.
It is.
Perfectly exacting, incredibly dense.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to try to see if there was like any useful information I could glean from it, but I feel like honestly looking at this, Adelaide's brain is just gonna kind of smooth over it. Yeah,
Yep.
glaze over.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the thing you get from it is that there is a lot to be expected of a soldier in the army. As we've said, like, it is perfection.
Well,
Yeah, I'm gonna give it back.
they wouldn't suffer essence fleet, but they would still need essence to do stuff, wouldn't they?
It depends
Don't
on
wanna
what you
use it,
mean
no,
by
no.
do stuff.
Yeah, they want to activate a power. Just be a person. They don't need it.
Well, I'm thinking an army is going to need to activate something to be actually an army on the surface.
Hmm.
Not necessarily. You can do a whole lot with just your power plus finesse.
Yeah, they're swords and guns.
Especially like an influence applies. I think there are contexts in which you can do ghostly things that don't require you to spend essence. I'll
And
of course defer to Drew and
Just for
Christopher,
example, arming,
my
right?
knowledge is a little limited in that regard.
If these are going to be soldiers, they're going to need weapons.
Which
Where are
they
they going
have.
to get all the weapons?
They have them.
But
It is perfectly reasonable for Dorothy to have these thoughts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I will tell you, out of character, the domain does the lifting.
Yep.
Of all these problem solvings, right? Like, by following the laws, you are taken care of. You are provided for.
I wonder how Benjamin interacts with that offer.
doesn't. So out of character, Cody is totally cool to sit back, relax. He doesn't have essence to spend. He can wait for quite a while. Now, obviously, we'll get hungry, but you better believe he brought snacks, rations, something with him for at least a little while. I don't know about everybody else.
Well, and Dorothy's got her bag with little snacks and stuff in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, we don't want to be on her too long. We're like on a real timer, kind of.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, there's a war happening up there, but this is the bigger concern. And we have a way to basically ring up saying, hey, folks are coming, prepare, like at the very worst scenario. And specifically, I mean, Cody's willing to wait for whatever commander or, other ambassador shows up, is more my point. Cody isn't necessarily about to try and sneak in there yet.
Someone comes running up from the camp, a messenger. Turns and speaks to the guardian at the gate. And then you hear in your head, same voice. Good news. It seems that the general will have a few scant moments to entertain your request.
Fabulous. Where shall we meet them?
He will arrive here when he has that free time.
Do we know when that might be?
Yes, approximately 1 week hence.
Right.
Also, by the time he has free time, that means they're done and ready.
Does it? What if, and this is Cody bringing this up, what if this is how they always are? They're always getting ready for war. And the one that we came across is an anomaly.
But the one that we came across came to where we encountered them due to orders given by the corporal.
The corporal
Sure.
gave him the mask and sent him on a mission.
And why would they not have sent before or more? Maybe the mask was a one-off. And Cody is bringing this up as like he definitely doesn't want to go in, or not to sign up, enlist. That's the word I was looking for. And while there is stuff happening up top, like right now his job is recon and watching this army, because there's no way he can fight it. So he's like trying to figure out like, okay, what do we do about food if we need to? But he's willing to wait a week, because due to the magic of TTRPGs, we can wait a week.
Stafford says, building off what Cody just said, perhaps that Reaper is not a one-off. Armies send out scouts. It's important to reconnoiter, survey the terrain. It could be the case that periodically an entity like that Reaper is sent from this dominion.
Given the effect it had on the surface and the widening of the gate and the basically making of a superhighway right into no man's land, I'm kind of the opinion that maybe that wasn't a scout or an aberration or a one-off, that it is a part of a plan. There were a lot of other things that sort of happened as a result of that seemed to be interconnected.
Do you want to enlist to go in and find out what's going on in there?
Sure. And Dorothy gets up and hikes her bag over her shoulder and walks up towards the guy.
Excellent. You're given a pamphlet.
Mhm.
You're gestured to go in.
What about my friend? Is the Centurion enlisting as well? Or is it just me?
If you are going, he is going.
Okay. Cool.
You soldiers may wish to do something about your uniforms to comply with regulations, but otherwise, we are welcome. You are welcome in his Emperor's army. You step through.
Yes.
You feel a imposition of discipline. And there is a sergeant waiting on the other side and immediately bustles you off into drills.
Okay. And Dorothy's totally prepared to go along with your team, but I want to keep my eyes open for if there's any seams.
What?
People like pushing the boundaries, or if there's any kind of.
I will tell you flat out, no, there are not.
Okay. So in this pamphlet that I was given, there's procedures for pretty much everything.
Mhm.
So how are there's a procedure to talk to a senior officer?
I imagine any complaint you have goes to your sergeant.
Yeah. There's a chain of command.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So she will petition to speak to the next level in her chain of command.
Okay. You are immediately questioned about what?
That there was a creature that came from this camp. And I was, I don't see any around here, so I was curious about where they were coming from and what they were, if they're part of our plan. It didn't seem to fit in with the rest of the camp here, and I had some questions about that.
You are immediately told that being curious is not part of your job as a soldier.
But it is my job to report things that aren't complying with the regulations, correct?
Give me a roll.
I was like, that's a good.
Give me a roll for that one.
I am absolutely leaning
You
to
might
the.
get kicked in for this one, but give me a roll for it.
Don't take this the wrong way, but Dorothy is totally going HOA Karen.
Oh, no.
Smarting off to the drill sergeant, though, is a choice.
Empathy manipulation work? Or persuasion manipulation?
Yeah, definitely manipulation, for sure. Give me a -2 on this.
Spend that willpower. It ain't gonna be here tomorrow.
I only got one.
Oh no.
Might be worth it.
Hey, they're worth it!
No.
Why no?
Intelligence, manipulation,
There's
persuasion.
too much shit in there. Hang on.
Oh,
No, that's it. It's up to Chris.
well,
But
if you got rid of the last two,
Sure, roll it.
or the first two.
Only the second die was the success.
Yeah.
There. How about that?
Sounds good.
correct answer, Craig. Sorry, for podcast folks, that was 9 dice for 1 success. Craig turns around and says, here's 8 dice for 3 successes. Actually, 10 and 8 dice, respectively, for 1 and 3.
This is 9 and 7.
The screaming baby cat in the background,
It doesn't do the modifiers for some reason.
celebrating his dinner.
Ah.
Yeah, you are like pulled to the side.
Mm-hmm.
If you have anything to report about someone breaking regulations, that is a serious offense.
More.
Not the
Says-
report. Sorry, let me clarify. Not the reporting.
Yeah.
That's not in character. Let me just make sure I'm
Breaking
communicating
regulations,
properly.
yeah.
There ain't no
And she's
snitching
like-
in Napoleon's army.
Yeah, I'm aware. It says so right here.
Good. You learn quickly. You'll do well here. You do need to do something about that uniform, though.
I will see to it immediately.
So, what is this concern of regulations being broken?
We don't have. I'm concerned that somebody brought in an unauthorized creature. We don't have creatures
Creature.
in this camp. Yeah, we a four-legged wolf-like creature. We don't have anything like that in this camp.
That would be highly irregular. Very well. Come with me.
Okay. People skills, baby.
Mark it off.
Yeah.
I think you have succeeded in getting yourself over your head at this point.
For sure.
Is anyone else following Dorothy in?
Once Dorothy has gone in, and like is accepted and marched off and like, oh, okay. Cody is going to.
You cannot follow where she goes.
Right. No, I'm just more like she is taken into the camp and not like
Right.
dissolved by, enlisting. Dorothy is going to look to the other two and go,
Cody?
yes, sorry, thank you. Going to look at Adelaide and Stefford and say, if she's going that route, I'm almost tempted to see if I can sneak in.
I don't think you can sneak in. If you want to enlist also, I have an idea. I don't know if this is going to work. It might be a horrible idea,
Mm-hmm.
which is that I'm seeing her walk away further than I can see. So I'm going to sit down and put up a boneyard, reaching into a dominion, and I don't know what that's going to do.
You're welcome to roll it.
It's boneyard and synergy.
Heck yeah.
There you go. You set up the boneyard. It extends partially through the walls, past the barrier, the delineation point of the domain. Roll me a Clash of Wills.
What is that? Composure, wits.
Boneyard plus
essentially-
synergy.
Essentially the same power.
Okay.
But you do get the bonus from duration. I just can't remember how long Boneyard lasts.
It lasts until you turn it off.
So you take indefinite, so it's about a +5,
It's +4.
+4.
I'll spend it on the willpower, so it's +7.
Flex!
Only 3? God.
12 dice, 3 successes. Songbird strikes again. Sorry, you're rolling against Chris, so this might be okay.
It might be okay.
Still gonna be a huge pool then. But I guess the Krewe is gonna have?
Yeah. Which is why I threw 12 at it. Fuck me.
Maybe they'll also get 3 successes and you can roll off. With
22.
8 successes.
Baby.
Well, that would be a hard no.
Yeah.
Well, let me DM here a little bit.
Sure.
You extend your boneyard in there, and you hear immediately just horns being blown inside the camp.
Great.
Yeah.
And there is a shout of just all sorts of shouts in French, and coming stampeding out of the gate, flanked by a number of soldiers on both sides, is an absolutely image of perfection of a medieval knight in pitch black armor, riding a solid black horse the size of a barn.
Great.
Unfortunately, my mind went to regular sized knight, huge horse.
He's a little bit bigger. I mean, he's
Right, yeah.
appropriately sized for the horse.
Right, but just the comparison. I apologize.
Tenebrous Charger. This is great.
He is fully covered by the visor of the helmet, covered head to toe in armor. Just in an unrealistic way, how thick the armor is. Like, I hate to always go to fucking Stormlight Archive, but it's fucking shard plate, basically,
Right, yeah.
right? It is this, yeah.
You sure you
Unreal.
hate it? Because I don't.
I mean, I don't, but
Come
like,
on now.
that series has just permanently brain rotted me.
Look,
but,
we're all just
yeah,
trying
so
to tell Journeys here and Journey before
this thing
this
comes out. I'm striding out, and you have a brief moment to rescind whatever you have just done, to lay claim to his emperor's land.
I will drop it. I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean to cause offense. I wanted to keep an eye on my friend, who is being led beyond my vision.
Your friend has enlisted.
Yes.
They will be taken care of then. There is no need for concern, and no need to spy inside of our camp, nor to lay claim to the ground of the Emperor's dominion.
Medieval knights took a very dim view of spies.
He looks around.
Are you a commanding officer?
I am the general.
You're the guy we were here to see.
You were meant to be here. Yes.
Oh, I see.
Did you receive that note?
Yes, our meeting scheduled 1 week hence, and yet you have somehow skirted that, ruined my timetables, set me innumerable minutes behind schedule.
Well, since you're already here and you're already behind schedule,
We won't have to waste your time next week.
Think of it as working ahead.
and this is how the three of us turned into Looney Tunes.
We're all soldiers. Why have you not enlisted?
I am currently already enlisted in another army.
In which army?
Well, yeah, Her Majesty's army.
Her Majesty, the Queen of...
England?
Dun
Just-
dun dun.
As that's happening, Steph.
There are English soldiers being sent here.
Goody. No.
Are they?
And technically, it's the King's army. But
Yeah, it would be the King's.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yes, allies to France, in point of fact.
I'm not sure how he does this with a full visor, but he spits on the ground.
Sure.
Is it black? Black as tar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just coming out of the visor.
Actually, just
We
a
are
few
not
years.
allies with English dogs.
Actually, and like, bear in mind, like Cody's been having this conversation in fluent French, right? And so I actually, and Parisian French. It's like, hey, I'm just saying, I was in Paris like a year ago. I signed up for the French Foreign Legion. Actually, technically, I don't know that I quit them either.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, I'm enlisted in two
you're
armies.
technically a French soldier already.
soldier, and you betrayed
Think of it
your
more as
post to
a
join the English.
think of it more as a Lend-Lease program.
I have never said this in my duty as the general. You are unfit to enlist in his emperor's army.
Cody has never been so proud. He's putting that one up on the fridge later.
You literally see
I
the
bet
gate
that part.
disappear. It does not exist to you. And to you alone.
Interesting. And like Cody just kind of like half turns his head, doesn't actually say anything aloud, but in his head to It That Bleeds, it's like, I think we have him riled up.
The others of you?
I'm not a soldier. I am a nurse.
Fitting occupation for a woman. You would be welcome amongst our ranks, though.
Do your people have need of doctors?
We have need of soldiers of all talent. In the glorious undertaking that is to occur, all soldiers except one would provide adequate skills and training given a boon to his emperor's army.
And what is the glorious undertaking? What is to occur that
By what manner of thinking do you think I would share this with you?
you're asking me to sign up to participate?
Yes.
How can I participate if I don't know what I'm agreeing to?
You have not yet agreed to participate, and therefore I would be giving away intelligence to an enemy combatant.
This in the military is what we call a catch-22.
If you wish to know and to be a part of the army, you may enlist.
I'm just going to turn to Cody and be like, well, he's assured us that Dorothy will not be harmed.
Dorothy.
Our friend who has enlisted.
Good.
I have no desire to enlist. So, shall we just wait? So, do you have questions for the general?
Absolutely. So Stafford looks at the general and says, "It is possible you meant no offense when acknowledging Adelaide's profession. Yet I believe it worthy of reminder that in your own country, one of the most important demonstrators of martial virtue was a woman. And all of us."
Did burn her at the stake.
Well, I know.
I know
That
of
was
who
a
you
different
speak.
issue. He nods and just says, "We would all. It would do us all credit to aspire to her talent, not just with arms, but with virtue."
Give me a roll here.
All right.
And you
do,
take a +3 to
Sweet.
the roll.
Presence expression, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Alrighty. Let me make sure there aren't two attributes selected. Ah! I want to spend a point of mana because I have
Right.
Synergy 4. Make that an exceptional success.
Point of mana?
Yeah.
Spend a point of mana if you've got one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You appeal to his the reason for this bonus. You have appealed to his sense of French patriotism.
Excellent.
He lifts his visor,
Mm-hmm.
and the entirety of the armor and the horse and everything dissolves around him.
Cool.
Reveals Joan of Arc.
No, it's not revealed Joan of Arc. It reveals simply just a French officer.
Excellent. When that happens, Stefford politely waits for it to finish and says, "I feel honored by your demonstration of a willingness to talk to us without the armaments that imply otherwise."
If we are not to come to blows immediately, there's no need for me to be the general.
Indeed.
And just like under his arm
Mhm.
is the helmet,
Cool.
and you recognize it absolutely is a death mask.
All right. Yes. Okay. So Stefford says, "We are not to come to blows. Definitely not immediately. And I believe we all would prefer if it never happens be true." You asked if in whose army we are enlisted, in whose army we serve as soldiers. It is true that we have at times served a martial function. However, our function, mission, and responsibility is not entirely martial.
Soldier who does not fight.
A soldier who only fights when necessary, and at other times employs the other talents that, as you suggested, can benefit an army as mighty as the Emperor's.
Ambassadors, spies.
Spy is not. Ambassador is an acceptable word, as would be envoy or messenger. And as is consistent with the, what do we see? He see the old ways and the enforced codes. Messengers are protected.
Of course.
So he nods and says, "We are here to discuss what we believe to be an initiation of hostilities without an aforementioned declaration of war, and a confirmation that an order was given or that there was hubristic action taken on the part of
Very well.
one." Okay, go ahead.
Describe the circumstances.
I shall.
Tell him.
Yes,
Tell
and he
him.
does. Yeah.
Yes, I know of who you speak. He was sent off as a scout and a recruiter.
Is it common for scouts or recruiters to engage in violence in the course of their duties?
Why would it not be?
Oh.
And what enemy combatants did he assault or cause violence? What you have described, no violence was given.
And correct, because Cody is not speaking up, because clearly his persona non grata. But we saw ghosts get yoinked up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they were shanghaied.
They were recruited. Press gang,
So-
if you will.
That's getting
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
like
So then Stafford says, I would hope that you understand the perspective that I come from when I state this. Conscription or military enslavement is its own kind of violence. And so, to reinforce in the manner of an envoy, messenger, or ambassador, we come to entreat you to discuss this without an explicit assumption that this entity was ordered by your command or the command of the Emperor to impose violence upon those ghosts that we saw harmed.
Not given specific orders to do so.
Thank you for confirming that.
I see now your concern here. Your grand concern here. You wish to ascertain whether or not we are preparing to journey above as our campaign. Looks around.
Yes. He says yes. There is one other ancillary concern, but it does not need to be discussed immediately.
I believe I can assuage your concerns without giving away military secrets of the Emperor. The destination, the purpose of the glorious campaigns we shall embark upon are not to take over the land of the living.
Stafford nods.
Will that be all?
I would like to raise my ancillary concern, yet I will acknowledge what you've shared with us, and thank you for being so forthcoming.
Very well. What is your other concern?
My ancillary concern is that those ghosts that might be under our protection or responsibility might have the legitimate agency to choose the context in which they truly become a member or servant to the Emperor's army. If they were, of their own volition, truly to choose to do so, I would not object, because that is their choice. Yet, if they are, as a consequence of need or confusion, drawn down and forced to sign papers without a true understanding of what's happening to them, I would consider that to be a perpetuation of injustice. And I recognize in yourself an understanding of honor and choice. And so I would hope that you receive this concern.
Oh, we are
in
the
the
French.
manner
We
it's meant.
invented liberty.
So Stefford nods, because of course he does still have a romanticized notion of French culture, right? Especially considering the context and the experiences he had in France compared to the U.S. historically.
Your concerns will be relayed to the Emperor. Henceforth, any scouts under my command shall have
Clearer orders.
shall be given clearer, more discreet orders in their dealings.
I do have a concern about the gate. Did they do that? I'm saying this to Stefford because the knight will talk to him, and that's good.
You mean the hole?
Yeah, was that the...
Yeah, so I meant to communicate that as part of what Stefford is saying, but I will reinforce that in character because that's a really good point, Ash. So Stefford will say, in those more precise and discreet orders, does that include an avoidance of creating a portal, a new gate that said ghosts would not be able to escape?
That does not sound like something that we could have done.
That
That-
is also helpful.
was a big concern for us.
Now, if there is nothing else, I have much to do.
Stefford holds up a hand one moment, and I know you're going to say something true. But he says, would you accept an offering out of courtesy and gratitude without it encroaching on the notion of it somehow being untoward?
Best not.
Then he nods. And for Stefford, asking was enough for him. So
Sure.
Cody leans into Stefford and goes, we need to get Dorothy back. we can't leave her in there.
nope.
You can see what she's up to.
How do you get discharged?
And he marches back in through the gate if there's nothing else to talk about. Yeah, I don't think he knows that your friend is now part of his army, but I don't think he gloats about it, right? It's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a fact. She enlisted.
Yep. Dorothy, we can do this real quick. We'll have a need of another session here.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Considering it is actively time to stop the show.
Yep.
And you are behind enemy lines, so to speak. Well, not enemy,
Nope.
as you are.
Well, no.
You are
They're allies
well
now.
within your own lines. You are on your way to go speak to a commanding officer when the entire camp breaks out into a hullabaloo. There are horns, there is shouting, there is everyone moving into very strict marching columns. There is chatter amongst the soldiers of it's time to march. It's time to go to war. And others are like, no, listen, wait for the orders. Don't get ahead of yourself. And you're shoved into, like, you're basically told that'll, like, your concerns will have to wait. Get into your ranks. And you see this giant black knight on a black horse ride by with his own personal honor guard and ride out the gate. And there's whispering of the general. And everyone is standing at attention waiting for orders. And you hear a shifting, clinking sound of like small pieces of metal bouncing off of each other.
Ooh.
Coming from behind you. And everyone's snaps up. Like, everyone was at attention, right?
Ooh, yeah.
It is now rigid and perfect. And walking down the central column of where these two marching columns have formed, coming up just out of the corner of your eye, you can see this shifting mass of metals that makes up the Emperor's body.
A lot of metals.
Yes, and the picture I have in the Roll20 is who you see. Speaking in this very quick, choppy shouts of stuff, and looking over the ranks of his soldiers. And he just points to a couple, and some of his personal honor guard step over and just sort of grab them by both shoulders and step them out of line, and begin marching them back away into the camp. And stops on the row next to you and looks you dead in the face. That uniform is out of regulation. And a bunch of people's hands grab onto you.
Mm-hmm.
And you are whisked away
The stocks.
back into the camp.
Oh no.
That's what we'll leave it for tonight.
Okay.
Oh man.
Before we do the little outro thing, just because I know some people might disappear because they're used to hearing the outro stuff, so I want to ask this up front. Do you think we have enough for a full session? Because I was wondering if we do kind of a epilogue thing, rescuing Dorothy, however that might be, and then kind of introduce stuff for Numenera next week.
If that works, I think that's probably how much time I'll need for it.
Okay.
Works for me.
If half a session is enough for Ralph to do a session 0 sort of thing, then that, I think that is a viable schedule for next week.
Cool, because that means so we can do that, because we'll probably be off for Thanksgiving. For American Thanksgiving, sorry, Craig.
Thank you.
Cool, okay, sorry.
Perfect.
So we'll have session 0, skip a week, and then start Numenera.
Yeah, baby.
Sounds cool. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. This has been a blast. We will have half a more episode. So, as I said, this was part 1 of Question Mark, and I thought maybe we might get it all done, but I like how this session went a lot. So.
Love Dorothy going, I'll enlist. I'm like, that's why? Why?
But
It's a chain of bad decisions.
it's good.
I did mention in
I appreciate
Discord, just for everybody else, this is a bad decision. that I also was totally okay seeing
Oh yeah.
be the right decision, and Dorothy just be like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go up there, I'm gonna yank him by his ear.
I'm proud of you, Craig. It's what a Chris character would
Yeah,
do.
it was. Yeah, it was.
Dorothy's skills are all people skills. She's going where the people are.
That's fair.
Mhm. That makes sense.
Anyways,
Makes a lot of sense.
thank you so much for joining us again. If you want to come and hang out and talk about this campaign so far, or be excited about our upcoming Numenera game, which Ralph will be running,
Yeah,
if you want
baby.
to talk about your birds and your other animals, if you want to talk about video games, because I know people be playing that RimWorld or whatever, or I don't know.
People don't play
Fortress.
games.
I mean,
Art-
Final Fantasy characters.
No computers, no consoles.
We've got lots of different channels in our Discord full of enlightening and wonderful conversations. You can check that out at eatinto.space. If you want to become part of our Patreon and give us some money to support our habits of getting dope art for our games and upgrading some equipment here and there, you can check that out at staylucky.club. As always, we love you all. Stay spooky, and we'll catch you next week.
Peace out,
Everybody.
y'all.